hurling matches this weekend. As you know, Wexford hosted Offaly last night. We're going to start with Galway's first foray into Leinster, where they took on Laois. Joanne Cantwell reports.
So Galway hurling finally arrived in Leinster, but there wasn't much of a bandwagon rolling out in Portlaoise to mark their coming. Still, it was historic nonetheless. The visiting team arrived with their captain Ollie Canning not fit to play because of an Achilles injury, so Owen Lynch took his spot. Historic or not, Galway looked nervous in the early stages with plenty of basic errors, their opponents looking competitive. Damien Hayes settled the visitors a little. The Laois game plan was clear straight away. Eamon Jackman, with 15 on his back, sat in front of the full-back line, essentially providing a two-man marking job for Joe Canning, but they couldn't stop the entire full-forward line. 14 minutes gone, and Niall Healy had goal number 1. And 3 minutes later, the ball did manage to make its way to Canning. And the young full-forward buried Laois even further, at 2-4 to 2 points. But James Young got Laois into the game with a string of well-taken frees before all hell broke loose. Lots of pushing and shoving, followed by a lengthy chat between referee and linesman. And a red card each for Kevin Hayes and Laois's chief score getter Young, with just half an hour gone. Moments later, and Michael McAvoy's late challenge on Adrian Cullinan earned him a second yellow, and so he was off too, and mission impossible awaited Laois. Canning, now singly marked, made it 2-11 to 7 points at half-time. The second half became a mild training game for the tribesmen, with their full forward line now with all the space in the world. The trio of Canning, Hayes and Healy combined for their third goal. Angus Callanan did most of the work for their fourth. Healy was involved again, and the outstanding Hayes added the finishing touches. 20 minutes still to go, and goal number 5 arrived. Niall Healy completing his hat-trick and adding to the slaughter. But mention must be made of Laois captain Brian Campion and Willie Hyland, who kept chipping away to help rack up a respectable 17 points for their side, despite the mauling in defence. Still though, this was about Galway and their Leinster and All-Ireland credentials, and they contributed a nervous start and a ruthless finish. 5-29 to 17 points, still a lot to be learned.
You know, maybe the weight of history and that maybe told on them in the opening stages. But look, I'd much prefer that, you know, we had a rocky first maybe 10 or 15 minutes rather than, you know, going 2-4 to no score up during the same period, finding out about your team.
When the man was gone in front of myself and Joe there, we were left open, like, and the ball in was perfect, like, so all we did was hit it over the bar. We didn't really have to work together, like.
When you go down to 13 players against a team of Galway's quality, you know, it's going to be very hard for any team, in particular ourselves. But we battled very well for the first 20-25 minutes, and I suppose the kids sending offs did take their toll, obviously, you know.
Michael Jacob with the cut. Nicely done, and Bamble is the target. He's out in front of Kenny, and Bamble with the shot and the goal for Wexford. Brian Mullins beaten.
Well, if you watch it there, Kenny got caught on the wrong side. I mean, he should be between the ball and the player was caught on the wrong side, and once Bamble got it, brilliant shot into the corner.
Well, that wasn't clever from Brendan Murphy. The idea was sound, but his teammate didn't anticipate where he was going to put the slither. Wexford hoping to capitalise. That's for Stephen Banville. Dragging Kenny out again. Bursting through is Redmond, and Banville is quality, isn't he?
Well, at this kind of form, I think great ball up. Banville had moved and the ball was pulled right out outside him, and, you know, he took David Kenny. Great score there.
Joe Brady out for that kill, was all over him as he tried to lay a hand on it. Here's Brendan Murphy driving through. Murphy, that's going to drop short. This could be interesting. Offaly in with a goal chance. It's Joe Bergen, and Bergen, is it a penalty? Referee, yes, has given the penalty. Joe Bergen causing all sorts of problems in there for Doc O'Connor, and the referee has given a penalty for this. Shane Dooley, and it's saved. They follow up. Somehow they keep it out, and the referee has given a free out. There was a wild pull in there towards Damien Fitzhenry. Offaly still haven't scored in the second half, but another big moment for the home team as they deny Shane Dooley from the penalty.
So we see it again now, not particularly well struck, down low, but great save and a big psychological moment for Wexford.
Colin Bonner, well, you saw the two fingers go out, 2 minutes left. Here's Banville, this could seal it. Mullins is out, and Wexford have their two-goal hero, and they've got revenge for what happened in Thurles at the start of the month. Wexford heading into the semi-final. There was a late goal, but the late goal is Wexford's. Here come Offaly again. Fitzhenry with a comfortable save, now he's out after it. Cathal Parlin in, and the referee's given a free this time.
Well, he's given a penalty, a semi-penalty as it's known as, and quite rightly too, I think.
Damien Fitzhenry, his 17th season in goal for Wexford, and Carroll hasn't managed to put that in. It's been saved by Diarmuid Ling, and it's going to be Wexford's night at Wexford Park, but they have won here against Offaly. It's Wexford into the last four. They have beaten Offaly by 17 to 16 points here in Wexford Park.
Darren Maloney and Donal O'Grady with the commentary there. Let's get back to the Galway-Laois match, Pete. What can you say to the Laois players watching tonight? They've trained for 6 months for this.
Yeah, it's their 5th year in a row to meet Galway, and they've been unfortunate to meet a team of the calibre of Galway. And in fairness, Niall Wrigley, he's working hard, and there is a good nucleus of hurling in Laois. But their lack of success at underage and the presence in minor and under 21 has left it very, very scarce and thin on the ground. And when you lose 2 players against a team like Galway, you're only going to create gaps. And with Joe Canning and players like that around, it was 20 minutes ago when the 5th goal was scored. So it was really over as a contest when the players got sent off.
Paul, you know, while a lot of people are saying it's good that Galway are in Leinster hurling and Antrim, you know, that it'll be bigger and maybe more competitive with Galway there. Laois, some Laois people are saying, look, it's hard enough for us in Leinster as it is without these coming in.
Of course, and like there's more than Laois. You'd have, you know, Dublin have been very close to getting to a Leinster final in the last couple of years. Possibly should have got to it last year, losing to Wexford in the semi-final in a replay. And now is a possibility if Dublin get over Antrim, they might play Galway in the semi-final. And obviously Laois now, having met Galway's Pete said 5 years in a row, where do they see? Like, they would rather be making progress in their provincial title rather than our championships, rather than getting knocked out in qualifiers every year.
Given that you're involved in the Christie Ring with Mayo, are Laois a level above that?
They are, yes.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Yeah, Laois would be a level above that, and Laois would beat every team in the Christie Ring, being fair to them. But then there's such a big gap between, we'll say, the Christie Ring and the Liam McCarthy. You even see it in the league performances, like Wexford and Kerry, Westmeath and Kerry were in the Division 1 of the league, but they won very, very little up there. There's a huge gap, and it's very hard bridged because the teams, the Westmeaths and the Mayos and Kerry, there's such a small little nucleus of hurling, and you're always competing against football as well, and that most of the players that play hurling also play club football with somebody else.
And no big benefit for Galway winning like that, is there, Paul?
No, Galway now go into the open draw next weekend, and like, I mean, having annihilated Laois, really, like, I mean, their bigger tests lie ahead, and okay, it was an outing for Galway, it was a game, but I don't think it's the type of games that they wanted, but that's the way it is.
Okay, and Antrim, of course, enter the Leinster Championship next week. They play Dublin in Croke Park. A lot of talk and hype about the Dubs. Can that be a bad thing for the Dubs?
It can be a bad thing for the Dubs, but in fairness to Dublin, if you were to say what team in Ireland has progressed most in the last 10 years between underage and in their senior status, you'd say Dublin. They have Anthony Daly over them now. The only thing they have lacked in the past, they've beaten Kilkenny at minor, they've beaten Kilkenny in under 21 games, but the self-belief and confidence that you need to hurl with has never been there. Anthony will bring that to them. He'll be able to talk in the dressing room about winning a provincial title, he'll be able to talk in the dressing room about what you have got to do to win an All-Ireland final, and he'll help instill that belief in them. But if it doesn't come from within the players themselves, it'll never get there. I think Dublin will give a good account of themselves this year with Daly. But still, I saw them last year in games that they should have won easily. They let slip. They should have beaten Wexford in the first round. They didn't. They could have beaten them in the replay. They didn't. And it was all a lack of self-belief. They have the hurling. They have the ability. They've won the minors. They've won the under-21s. But it's self-confidence they're lacking in.
All right. I should point out, by the way, just for people who feel Laois hurling getting bad news tonight, at underage Laois minors beat Dublin this year in the Championship, so it's not all doom and gloom for Laois there. Well, that draw for the semi-finals of the Leinster Hurling Championship will be live on RT next Sunday. Indeed, it's going to be another hectic weekend of GA action. First up is the